morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning where, that's right, Grumpy is here. Honestly, not that much to be grumpy about. I had like an awesome weekend overall, except some like Fenerbahce 49ers and stuff like that. But aside from that, it was like a pretty interesting weekend, the least to say. How was your weekend?
It was good. I want to go back to your weekend really quick because you said it was a really good weekend, except Fenerbahce got slapped, and the 49ers gave up a lead that they shouldn't have given up. Any other weekend, this would have been absolutely miserable. So was the FanFest just that good?
No, but we had like way too much fun. I think Friday and Saturday with Ange, and I think we had almost too much fun for our age, if you will. Getting a little older for bar hopping, we're realizing. But we because we went downtown. We tried to stay downtown. I even was able to, Lou actually even go to stay downtown at the end because I figured I'm gonna go there early in the morning. By the way, good morning, Serzi, Ryan, and Nick with his pessimistic takes.
We're gonna have a bunch of pessimism from ourselves, I think, so that's fine.
We'll get to that, but no, like we stayed downtown, and I know you're like a couple of hours away yourself, but I definitely recommended like a couple of places we stayed at right by the hotel and stuff, and then we went to Layla works at the London House, and actually we tried to get into the London House if you're ever like in downtown Chicago and stuff like that, and you can't get a freaking table on that rooftop even a month in advance. It's like freaking ridiculous. But we met with Layla for lunch before she goes to work, kind of a thing. And then I guess when she goes back to work, the boss is like, like she says what happened. Yeah, I had lunch with my parents. And so they're like, oh, we always got room for parents. Have them come over. I'll hook them up. Awesome. And I was like, okay. So we went there in the evening. And he was, he had a table set up, rooftop, ridiculous view in that place. Yeah, it was just like awesome. So we had like a great night. And then in the morning, we got up in the crack of dawn, obviously, to head over to the FanFest. And Nick says he was looking for me behind every okay. So this is something we got to talk to because I just do not understand this at all. Somebody explain me this. What is the fascination people have with being on TV?
So that you can then repost it on your social media and be like, look, guys, look at me. I mean, I don't think we have to go past Reza to really understand why people want to be on camera all the time. But, I thought I would never say his name again, but here I am. Reza. Yeah, he's never going to see this anyway, but whatever. That's the truth. That's what it is. That's all. That's my piece. And I'm done for the morning.
Everybody can't be like that, right? Dude, I'm telling you, like, this is so like crazy. I understand maybe 20 years ago, like when I was younger, and there were like only a limited number of TV stations and stuff, right? So being on TV was kind of like, like I was on TV kind of a thing, right? So I get that. Like right now, I mean, here we are. We're in the internet. Everybody can see us. I press the button and boom, we're on. Look, Look, Ma, I'm on the internet.
Yeah, but you're not Rebecca Lowe.
But you're not Rebecca Lowe either.
I know. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you're saying it's special that I'm there because I don't get that either. I mean, it's Rebecca. I mean, I love Rebecca. No offense, but I'm not going to be like, oh, look, I was stunned. Did you guys see me like waving like crazy behind Rebecca? So they, occasionally they show up like middle of the area, right? Like with the camera and stuff like that. And no, here's my thing. So they come over and they're like, dude, I swear. And like Angie and I were like so similar in that sense. I'm like, I don't want to, I'm like, dude, maybe I should get in the background with the American Scouser hat, And she's like, no. And so the camera, like they'll come in, they're like, okay, we're going to let you guys finish. And then we're going to cut in over here. And then, you're supposed to go. Like, it's almost like he had a sign above his head that said like applause, It's just like, and you guys are going to go crazy kind of a thing. And literally, like, you can see people moving to it. And we were the only ones like moving away from it. We're like, I don't want any part of this. Like, people like all over each other, jumping up and down, like waving and being like an asshole as well. Like, not even like, it would be one thing. Like, I was on TV. They asked me about the game. I gave my take or something. No, I was in the background behind Becca, going like this and stuff. It's like I somebody tell me.
Had to elbow a couple of children to get into the frame, because they were in my space. So I had to make sure I pushed the children away, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick says that makes you a real supporter if you're on TV. I guess I just not. Internet's not the same as my mom was talking when I was on TV once and told everyone in Bangladesh she's never been so. It was only on for like a minute. I mean, I guess the context I can understand. Like, if you're on TV, like I say, talking or looking like a civilized person having a conversation or whatever, or being honored, whatever it is, I get that. But like next to or in the background behind like Rebecca Lowe just like waving and stuff, I so confused. And if it was only one or two people, you would be like, oh, they're just attention whores. No, I would say like 90%. Like whatever there was a camera, like you could literally people like it was like a magnet, and people would just like be going towards it, and we were like negative. We were kind of like going the opposite way. I was like, what is happening? Otherwise, it's like an interesting lot of Reds fans. Passed out a ton of posters.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of Reds fans there. There were some like United fans and stuff like that. A lot of Arsenal, Uniteds, and we Brentford fan sighting.
I was gonna say, don't bring this up tomorrow, but dude, there were real Brentford fans.
I took a picture and sent it to the panel. Even better. I hope those guys are not watching it, but we're trying to find. We actually like Gordo is the person actually who found and actually even spoke to a Brentford fan. And we're gonna see if we can get him on the panel because I want him to talk to Alex. I think that would be awesome.
Don't even tell Alex.
No, I'm not gonna. That's what I mean. I don't get to watching this morning show because I'm not gonna tell him or anything. So I'm just gonna they're just gonna show up, and I'll be like, "Hey, this is Joe. He just joined us. He's a Brentford fan."
And you see Alex's face just.
Check out the clip on our channel that was from the panel show when we were talking about if Brentford fans were real, because Alex thinks it's a made-up club because nobody had actually seen him. I'll be honest, I hadn't seen one until either. Otherwise, have you ever been to any of these FanFests or anything?
No, I have not. I saw a statistic that said that this was the most attended FanFest. I think there were like 14,000 people, something like that. I don't know how. I don't know how many tickets they expected to give out or sell or whatever, but it seems like a decent number and a fun time.
It was I don't know how fun it was yesterday when it was raining, because that had to be a mud fest over there because it was like not a lot of grass involved, but some of us can't get rooftop seating at London Sway. Hey, I freaking asked you, bro. I said, hey, you guys come on over. But yeah, he had he didn't get there to the city late either. But so we had a lot of fun in the city at night. Kind of went around, tried different places. I'll give you guys addresses and locations so you can check them out and stuff. And then went to the FanFest. Here's my thing with the FanFest. What is the point, you think? Why do they have these FanFests? And I'll tell you if it's successful or not.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So for someone who has never been to the FanFest, what do I think it's for? I think it's for, the optimist in me wants to say, oh, it's to bring people together in a community and so you can meet other like-minded people like you. The other side of me thinks it's just something for them to make money. Oh, and yeah, there it goes. So I think it's everything is going to be a money grab. Yeah, but you have to pay for things inside, don't you?
Oh, I guess. I mean, we didn't because we had way too much the night before, so we were.
I was going to say,
but
I'm sure there's plenty of stuff inside that you pay for, right?
Oh yeah, they were selling, food and stuff like that. There were booths and stuff, and I'm assuming, I know, because I know I was handing out coasters, and this dude was coming out, and he was like, "Bro, it's $13 for this," and it was like a miniature hot dog, like you would get in a kid's toy kits kind of thing. And I was like, "Well, here are some free coasters to kind of offset the cost of the hot dogs," but he was like, "Dude, this is ridiculous," and it was kind of ridiculous food. Nick says movie tickets are cheap too, and popcorn is $20. I guess that's kind of it. How amazing all the posts with photos of being stuck outside were complaining it wasn't. First of all, okay, so you're saying it was done mainly for money, is what you guys are saying, because it feels like it's way too much to get a little bit of concession over there to me.
I don't know. I guess from my point of view, I'm just thinking of what do they gain out of it, and it's not just money relative to that moment in time, but money relative in a grander sense
Yeah.
of having that attraction there, of bringing people in, of then having that word spread about doing these fan fests and then going to the next fan fest, and just in a way, the more popularity you can get, the more money you can make long term. Right. So I think
Yeah.
it's one of those where you're just trying to grab people in more, grab people that have maybe not been as invested to make them more invested. I think that's what I mean. So not
Okay.
necessarily in the moment, as you're not going to make millions, but you can make a lot of money off people as you keep reeling them in.
Okay, so I get that part. People that were maybe slightly interested getting really invested because they get to see the environment and stuff like that. And it says, think about the presence. It gives greater league exposure to a large front. See, here's what I don't understand. I mean, and this is Chicago, dude. They could have made that thing. And I don't want to bash the event. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we had fun. It's fucking free. And thanks to, like the supporters club in Chicago, we were in that fast pass thing and we didn't have to wait the ridiculous line because I don't know if I'd be as positive about it. Same with Gordo. Like, I don't think we'd be as positive about it if we were in that long line, because we initially got in the long line when we first got there and it didn't even look like you would make it in. And, then we were supposed to be on the other side, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like, if you're having this event, it should be huge where somebody in the vicinity, I mean, it's right by Old Town and Lincoln Park over there, should be, oh, what the fuck, they got this going over here. And you're very, very mildly interested. You should be able to just go in, right? You should just be able to like say, oh, let's check this out.
Sure.
You can't, because unless you registered freaking months ago, you don't have a Q code to get in there. And even when you have a Q code, you're waiting in line forever because it was limited basic number of people. So they had the 9 a.m. games, which obviously there were like six 9 a.m. games. And so, like the major, the Spurs, us, and then, some people are there just for shits and giggles kind of a thing. And like we had to leave before those people could come in, because after us, it was the Chris Palace United game. So there were a ton of United fans outside waiting, which is where they belong. But still, afterwards, they literally had to wait till we left to be able to let those guys in and stuff. And those guys were not happy waiting outside. And it was hot as heck as well. So now more people get to choose if they have a sense of belonging to Arsenal, Chelsea, and Brentford's. Yes, it was shocking. I mean, Brentford, you have to be really committed. They placed themselves right by the Universal. Actually, it was a big banner for the NBC coverage. Yes.
In a way, real quick though, I understand your point about not being able to bring in the mildly, very slightly interested person that can't get in without the pass. On the flip side, not that I fully believe this, but there is something to be said about exclusivity and how things that you can't have make you want them more. And so it might make you go, well, if I need to get this like months in advance, this must be something really pretty damn cool. And you might then...
So I'm going to start watching soccer?
Not necessarily, not every person, right? But I think there is something to be said about it's sort of, I work in an industry that I see that all the time, like things that people can't have, they want. And it's just something that I think falls in line in human psyche sometimes for some people. And it might be one of those things where they're like, hey, I'm going to want to go to the next one, even though I didn't really know what was going on in this one. That's all. That's all it is.
No, when you said I work in an industry where people just want much, spoken like a prince.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
As you go around with your carriage, you look at all the peasants. They want what you have. But no, I mean, that's the thing. There were a lot of people, because you can tell, especially after we left and we were out eating and stuff. I'm sure people are like, what is going on? That there's so many people walking around with soccer jerseys. I feel like it would have been a lot nicer if those people could be like, oh, let's go check it out. But they couldn't, even if they wanted to. They were.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah,
I feel like that should be your goal, right? So this was basically all the pubs brought outside to Lincoln Park is how I viewed it. Like people, if they weren't there 9 a.m, they were going to be at their pub, and you just brought them together basically, which is kind of cool because you kind of saw, like I didn't know there were like so many first of all, Brentford fans, like you got to see other fans and stuff. So it was cool in that sense. There is kind of like we're in the same struggle following a sport that's nobody, like it's not as big kind of a thing. So there's that unity, even if it's, you can like joke around with like United guys and like Arsenal guys or whatever. There's like lighthearted banter going on. I don't know how yesterday was, to be honest with you. I would have loved to be there yesterday, minus the rain, to see if people actually got into it or they were still friendly in a game like that. But I don't know, cool event. I just feel like, if the goal is to spread the sports, because like you're saying, it's one thing if it was exclusivity and you said, oh man, next year next year it's not in Chicago, bro. So, and you're not going to go to Nashville to see it next year. Like, okay, I guess I'll wait till it comes back to Chicago again, kind of a thing. Mind you, we were at the pizza place and the dude was like, I didn't even know this was going on. And he was like literally right on the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I told Angel, I put that more on him to not know what the hell is going on in his neighborhood than, the Premier League, that knocking on everybody's door and saying like, hey, we're going to be at the park over there this weekend. But yeah, I feel like, for almost nothing, because all the vendors been on their moments. The social media poster on Chicago was down away. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm sure it got the word out. I just don't know if it's like spreads the word of, I mean, I kind of take it as it's trying to spread the sport. And maybe you're home watching and you're like, holy shit, man, I didn't know there were so many other people like me. And then maybe you go to the internet, find where these people are and stuff like that. That's the only way I can kind of see getting more people involved. It's like seeing, like 8,000, 9,000, whatever it was, people like you, like, in a park over there, like watching soccer. Whereas I know, before we started like American Scouser and stuff, it just felt like, and this is what, like 5 years ago or so, I don't know, felt like you were like on an island, like you were the only guy watching. Whereas like there's like a sense of community now as like things get bigger.
I guess the only thing from just a practical standpoint of setting up these events, if you have it open to the public just completely, there's no sense of how much support you need as far as staff potentially.
Oh, that's
so
fair.
You don't know how many people you need, know how many vendors you need, this and that. If you have a system where you have tickets that you give out and you know how many heads are going to be there, it's a lot easier to then be able to put everything into place and be able to manage this and this and this. Because we've seen disasters of places where there is no real control over what's going on. And not to say that I don't think it would have been like a crazy rampage or anything, but it just makes things easier from a working standpoint of knowing what to expect.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, probably for organizers, it's a lot easier. I just felt bad, like, like Gordo says, even as we were leaving, there were people walking up to the people in line. I'd be like, why are you in line? What are you in line for, kind of a deal. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, like, there were people who were actually, you could tell they were soccer people. Not very strong ones, obviously, because they didn't know this was going on. I feel like if you file a Premier League, you have to know this was going on. It's been on TV for the last like 6 every match day. It's been on there all over the place. But yeah, like for them to, they would come up and they were like, oh, what are you in there? And then people are like, oh, you need a Q code. You have to get that and stuff like that. And they're like, and then they had to walk away. Whereas, it would have been nice for them to be like, oh, let's go check it out. And then maybe, now gets really hooked up and stuff. But like I say, I don't want to really bash the event. I just felt like it could have been bigger, better kind of a thing. But
well, I have one final question about the event then, and we can go to the next topic if you want to go over it. The whole Facebook pictures and people thing. They're not who they look like. They look
okay.
Like.
So I don't know if it's just me, like they say, like the camera puts on 10 pounds or whatever, but I'll tell you what, the Facebook profile picture erases like 20 pounds is what I found out, because I saw a lot of people that I've seen, I have not met, but, we know a lot of people, I don't know, like Nick, for example, like I obviously Gordo I've met, Sergio I've met, but like, virtually, but like Nick, I've never met Nick, but I kind of know how Nick looks like from his profile picture and stuff like that. And if I saw Nick, see, now I assume when I look at that, it's going to be Nick plus 20 pounds, because everybody that I saw that, I was like, I recognize him, but sure doesn't look like that in the profile picture. Mind you, my profile picture is my girl's. That a photo that should probably be updated that I can't bring myself to update because it's probably like 10 years old or something like that. But Ryan says you guys seen that.
This is not for anyone.
Honestly, I don't know what Ryan's profile picture looks like. So now you'll go.
I was gonna say this is not for anyone at all that is anyway connected.
No. Actually, like there were a bunch of people that I don't personally know. Yeah, lifting what, like wings or beer, or what are you lifting? But yeah, I mean, it's I've seen like people that I'm like, oh, that's him. You know, like I've seen like posts from him and stuff like that. And then I was, you know, it's always like, oh, he looks a lot heavier. And you know, hey, I'm no skinny dude. Obviously, I have to like, yeah, I see donuts. I have to lose a ton of weight myself, but at least I don't put a photo of myself in like a skinny mirror. And you know, like to
or like from 18 years ago or something.
Yeah, that was like definitely one thing to behold. I saw some people that I know that, you know, you know me, I'm not like a hey man kind of a guy, whatever that means, or how you can display. I'm no Raza, if you will. But I don't like really that outgoing. I mean, I'm friendly, but I'm not like outgoing and like, you know, this I was trying to get Angie, who's even shyer than I am in public, to pass out coasters, but yeah, that didn't happen. She was like, "I'm just here for moral support." So I was basically going around passing out coasters, and you know, like people are friendly, so it's like a good environment to like, you know, like talk to people and stuff like that. But and obviously, the game being the way it was a lot. It made things a lot easier and, you know, more fun and relaxed and stuff like that. So. Expected Matush to be a dwarf that looks like the guy from the Gotham show. Why? What is your profile picture? Now I have to go back and look. Is that based on your profile picture or?
Well, no. I mean, my picture in on Discord is of Trent, so that's not me.
See, up until yesterday, I thought I was the only person he saw that he knew, so I was greatly offended. No, like it was.
He saw you like the couple weeks before too.
I was gonna say, holy cow, Gordon put on some weight in the last 2 weeks. No, it was more like people that I've never talked to, and I still have not. But I kind of recognized from their profile photos, and I was, you know, let's say I barely recognized them, so that should say it all. So now I gotta go dig around the records and find a thin version of myself.
Is Cersei talking about Peter Dinklage? Is that who he's talking about? I think it is.
Now you're gonna have to like make us like do research and stuff.
I don't know.
No way.
From Peter Dinklage to Peter Crouch. I'm somewhere in between.
Yeah, you being Peter Dinklage is interesting by itself. But yeah, the game was nice and easy. So that was, well,
I mean,
you start worrying with that VAR thing in the beginning.
Yeah,
but
if overall, the game started at the 20th minute, it was nice and easy.
I guess, yeah. But I mean, overall, I felt like, okay, let me answer that. Like, how did you find it was different than the Forest game, which I think we were all afraid of it would be?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, attacking wise, a lot more clinical, right? I mean, Lucho's touch. Kepa should not be doing what Kepa's doing Kepa things, right? He shouldn't be doing what he's doing. But the fact that Lucho was still able to bring the ball down the way he did was a world-class touch, and I'm glad that he finished that one off. I think for a second goal, I was worried that Trent took way too long on the ball to find that pass. So I'm glad that also worked out because I know that would have blown up social media and our Discord as well had he, you know, made a bad decision like Sobo did on, I think it was the last break of the half. I think Sobo he had three guys running, and not that anyone gave him good runs, but he just couldn't make a good decision. So I'm glad that the Trent decision ended up working out. And then Darwin's goal obviously was world class as well. I think, you know, his pass to Mo was quietly even not better than his shot, but it was pretty damn good. It was like the Jota assist to him last year against Brentford. So yeah, I think overall a lot more clinical going forward, a lot more precise, not as many wasteful passes. Because I think that was the difference in the Forest game, is that there's just a lot of waste. and had some of those passes and had some of those shots not been as wasteful, I don't think they lose 1-0 the way they do. It's one of those days where everyone just had a bad day, and besides maybe Gravenberch, right? So everyone just had a bad day, and it is what it is. So it was a good response, and I think overall it's what you wanted to see from the team. So I don't want to sit here and say, back to being title contenders, but we'll have this conversation every week, and every week it's going to change. But yeah, it was just a good team outing.
Yeah, I think that's probably. Nick says, I don't want the monologue here, and then writes like 8 paragraphs. But yeah, I just don't understand. But I said this last week, right? There's only 5 or 6 teams that will not have pride and come out the way, Nuno did with Forest. There's teams that are going to be like Bournemouth, the Brentfords and stuff like that. They're like, nope, we do what we're going to pass from the back, build and play and stuff like that. And, that is the recipe for disaster. So there are still, I think, 4 or 5 teams we're going to face, like when we play Everton and stuff like that. But I think most of the teams are going to try to do this. And when they do, yes, we're going to capitalize on it. That Diaz goal, by the way, had like the little touch of since Thursday is here, Mane against Bayern, where like he just takes it in front of the box. I thought the finish was really well done, because a lot of players, honestly, Diaz last year would probably go for power on that and sky it to an empty net. Whereas he actually kicked it to the corner where the dude could not get to. I think that was, like world class in that sense. We talked about his final products last year a lot, so that's definitely there. That's probably one of the biggest differences that I see in him, like the scoring and how effective he is in the system. And I don't know if it's the system or it's his form, whatever it is, but yeah, he is making things tick right now. Because I thought Mo, again, aside from a couple of like good key passes and taking away defenders, I thought he was still like average to below average compared to Mo. Like rushing shots, that outside curl is not working. I don't know what it is, but it's always going on the ground and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, Ryan says Mo needs to rest, but Bournemouth, Southampton, and Ipswich should be relegated now. I don't know. I think because Bournemouth can get goals, they got that going for them. We'll see what like Everton does, but yeah, I mean,
speaking of Everton, by the way, they have rumored new American ownership, apparently.
That's like risky business, right? I mean, in some ways, you better be sure that they're not going to go down, because that could really blow up. If not, it's a good business because they have like the new stadium and stuff like that. But yeah, if they go down, which I mean, I don't know, they get the scare all the time and somehow, like find their way out of it. They like, when they took the lead, I was like, okay, one more goal and then they're going to collapse kind of a thing. But then they got a point. That's huge point for them because it's away. But at the same time, I don't know. They lost points in some easy games. It's way too early. It's only like 5 weeks in. But you look, though, and then you look at Southampton and stuff. They're like, I don't know if they're like staying in this in the Premier League. Going back to the game. Konate and Ryan was pointing it out. Konate and Gravenberch. Konate was making Trent-like passes. Yes, honestly, I'll admit, when he did that pass for the assist, the way that ball like went, I was like, because it looked like that's never a pass. I mean, if it's not for Kepa, that's really nothing. Nothing is coming out of that if it wasn't for Kepa. Sure. But he did do well. We're going to talk about Trent a lot. So let me ask you that. First of all, what did you think of his game?
About Konate or Trent?
Trent.
I was like, because I know we're going to...
without saying, but you can, chime in.
Oh, the Konate in the midfield, right? I mean, that's what you want now, right?
Next up. Inverted center back.
On tonight's show, outverted center back. I think Trent had a good game. I feel like there's always going to be this weird looming cloud over all of Trent's games now that is going to cause some of us to really nitpick certain ways that he decides to do things. because of the uncertainty of his future. So he might have a decent game, and then everyone's only going to be talking about the contract or Real Madrid anyway. So I don't know at what point, I know there is a point where that's going to stop being a talking point as soon as either that gets signed or he leaves on free. But it's just, I don't know. I just feel like he had a decent game. It wasn't loud good. It wasn't loud bad. It was just a pretty decent Trent game. I don't know if there's anything specific that you saw.
I would say it's average, right? You have some like good moments. I mean, it wasn't nothing special. And I think one thing, that's what I wanted to talk about. Nick says Trent seems he's leaving. It's weird. I just don't get that vibe, but I don't know. You would think it would, and I know it's not good business, but I would expect someone like Trent. I don't expect this from Verge, okay? Because I realize it's a business at the end of the day, and you got to do and say things that's going to get you the best contract or whatever. But I do expect Trent to be more. It's going to get sorted. Don't have to worry about it. I'm not worrying about it. You guys shouldn't either, and move on. As opposed to saying things where it's almost like doors are left open, like he wants to win trophies, and that's more important to him and stuff, which is fair. But you know what I mean? Like when he's asked about the contract, I expect Trent to be more about, I'm not worried about it. You guys shouldn't be. It's going to get sorted. The agents deal with that crap. I'm just focusing on my game. Arne is being tougher. I asked Arne to be tougher on me because I want to be a better defender. Whereas I don't expect like Verge to come out and say that, even though he's the captain. I just expect him to be more politically correct. Is that unfair on Trent?
I think the difference is the age and how Trent is really at this point in most careers, he's coming into his prime, and this is when you would want those players is during these moments from 25 to 30, if you will, kind of right in that range. And everything's going to always feel different because he's someone that came from the city. Like he is the embodiment of the club. He is someone that we always rooted for because he is someone that a lot of people saw themselves in, if like that's who they wanted to be, or that's how they would want themselves to be, if that makes sense. So I think the problem with, and I know there were a lot of quotes that came out yesterday, I think it was, and he did say stuff like, I want to be captain of this team, I want to win trophies, but he never outright said, I want to stay. And I think there's going to be both sides. People are going to hear what they want to hear when people say certain things. And there's going to be a side of this where people are saying, see, there's a specific thing he didn't say that he should have said. And there's going to be another side of this saying, well, he can only say what he can say, and that's it. So it's just weird because the friendship with Jude, the fact that we are 2 months and a week away from him being able to sign any contract he wants, it just makes things a little bit more pressing in that sense.
Nick says he is already mentally in Madrid. Better women. See, there's going to be a lot of English women offended by this. But Nick is
all
right.
The ones that watch.
Trophies and money. I don't know. I feel always like that friendship thing is a little overblown. I know what you mean, though, because let's face it, we were all like, he's going to come here because Hendo and Trent are always talking to Bellingham, and then he went to fucking Madrid. So I feel like at the end of the day, money talks. But that's the thing. I don't expect money to talk as much when it comes to Trent being what he is.
But think about what he could be a part of. He could be a part of the Galacticos version 2. When we talk about...
But he would be a guy in Galacticos version 2.
But that's what they are. But they are the legendary Galacticos, though. When you think about...
If he wins something in Liverpool, he is like an all-time great because he's already the Scouser on our team and stuff, right?
Right.
You're going to Madrid, who's already winning fucking everything. So you just like happen to be there. Like Arda won the Champions League last year. I don't think like even anybody in Turkey. I mean, he's like the first Turkish player, blah, blah, blah. But like nobody was like Arda won the Champions League. Like, nah, I mean, Real Madrid won the Champions League. Arda happened to be there. They were like, as you're walking, like, you want a medal too? I guess, why not? And then you just get in line. But you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to get credit as, I mean, shit, dude, Carvajal doesn't get credits for, like winning there. Yes, it's part of your career and stuff like that. But if he wins in Liverpool, I feel like that's 10 times more valuable for legacy purposes.
It's such a difficult conversation to have because we are Liverpool fans, right? I think,
but he is too, and that's he is Liverpool. I would not say this about Verge. I'm saying this about Trent. He is Liverpool. This would be like you in Liverpool, or you know what I mean? Like, so it should mean so much more.
I know, but he's won everything with this club, and there is just, for me specifically, I'm thinking about in the terms of you go down in history as being part of a team that had Mbappe, Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo, Valverde.
How many names will you name before you would get to Trent if you are a dude in Portugal?
I think Trent's made enough of a name of himself where he could be the fourth or fifth name.
No way.
You go Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinny, then you could go Rodrigo or Valverde, and then Trent. I think that's how it goes, because you're not going to talk about the center backs unless you get Alphonso Davies. You're not going to talk about the left back, keeper, whatever.
They probably will. So there's that. But
I think emotionally, everything will mean more for him winning at this club. But we've seen, I mean, this sport, it's a business too at the end of the day. And sometimes players, they might just get bored and they want something new. And if you're going to have something new, why not go to Real Madrid? And I understand.
I mean, if you're going to go somewhere, okay, I know what you mean.
And I understand. It's that, yes, maybe it's not as impressive because you were able to win the league and the Champions League with a team that costs billions of dollars, right? I understand that. But also, you're still winning. And for some...
But are you happy?
You probably will be happy. I don't know. I would.
Well, I guess apparently there's better women, so there's that. If Trent was your son, let's play this game.
I love this game.
He's like Prince Jr. He's like, Dad. What the fuck should I do? What are you recommending?
Trent, let's buy a team in France. That's what I would say.
I got the semester plan. Like, I going.
I think, and we're basing it off the fact that I'm from there as well. Growing up there, kind of the same feelings.
Well, right? Yeah, you're the Prince of Liverpool. Let's go.
Oh boy, if I was the Prince of Liverpool, I think I would tell him to follow his heart. No.
Like, thanks, Dad. Click.
I would say, look, from the very beginning, your dreams, your ambitions, your goal was to be a captain of this team. And that's not happening right now. You give it a couple of years, you could still be captain of this club. I would try and have him stay from an emotional standpoint, because he's not going to be a captain of Real Madrid. So if he wants to captain a club, the closest he's going to get right now is where he's at. And, the thing that he has in front of him is just Verge. And Verge's future is uncertain with the club as well. I know some people were taking his comments yesterday as, well, an ultimatum. Like, you could either keep Verge or keep me, right? Because if Virgil stays, I can't be captain. I want to go. But if Virgil leaves,
I think it has that.
There were not small, quiet voices, but there were voices that were saying it.
I'm sure there were.
They hear voices everywhere. And so
I see dead people.
And so you could take it that way. So that's, I don't know. It's I would tell him to stay, but at the end of the day, I don't know. It's a difficult decision, because had they not won as much as they won, and it seems like a shitty statement, because they really, in the context of who they were up against, they didn't win as much. When they compare them to City, they didn't win nearly as enough. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
If anything, I take like Virgil's comments And Mo hasn't said this. To be fair to Mo, because Mo has such a big ego that he's like, as long as I'm here, we're going for trophies anyway, kind of a thing. But like Verge and what Trent are saying, I take it when you say an ultimatum. I thought you were going this way actually, but more of like how ambitious will the club be? Because I want to win trophies. That's kind of like how I took that as. I don't know if it's like a great angle to take with like Edwards and stuff like that, but or maybe they will like that because yes, we want to win trophies too, kind of a thing. But I kind of took that more of an ultimatum, and Verge says something similar in the offseason, like, gotta see that the club really is going for things because they both want to win trophies.
It just seems like a weird thing to latch onto when the club is going to want to compete. They're not going to suddenly become a selling club in the mid-table. Like I don't know. I feel like it would take a lot of steps for this team not to want to compete. I don't know. It just seems like that. Just seems like
I mean, like I take it as the other way around. I would think Trent would mean that if you guys are not signing Virgin stuff, if we're gonna go into this mini rebuild over here, because I don't want to be here because I want to win trophies. I'm not getting any younger, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know.
Because I liked what he said about defending. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about this. Because I mean, I guess he told Slot to kind of like dissect his defending. One thing he said, which I know anything these guys say now, we're gonna kind of like try to find something in the background. But he talked about, it's refreshing to have somebody who's actually working with you to improve your like deficiencies, like where you're like lacking and stuff like that. Do you almost like when I read that? Maybe that's not what he meant to say. But I take that as, before, like nobody cared. As long as I got the assist, I could do whatever the fuck I wanted, which is what he was doing. Whereas now, even after the Milan game, he said, like after the AC Milan game, which we felt like, he did well considering he was going against Rafael. But like they went over a bunch of things where he was shown what he can do better, and he asked to be called out when he doesn't do his defensive work and stuff like that, which he could have called me all these years. I would have told him right away. But I mean, I kind of like hearing that from him because that tells me a lot more that he's bought into this like new regime.
And the focus is a little bit different, right? Like we know that Slot values not to say Klopp didn't value defense because you can only win so many games when you're conceding. But from what we've seen, from what we know, Slot definitely values defensive work a little bit more and is more proud to keep a clean sheet in that aspect. Yeah. So I think maybe part of it is just that, after several years too, some things just don't get worked on because when you're having the results that you're looking for, when you're having, these 3-4 year periods of just absolute domination, then there isn't much to work on, much to critique because you're getting the results. And so sometimes maybe that's just something that is like, oh, well, we'll get to that if we need to. But then you don't really get to it because you're getting the results. And then once the results really started getting bad, it was almost too late because there were all these different things that needed work on.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's part of it. And, Slot's coming in and he's never worked with Trent before. He's only had a few months with them and he's going to see things that he thinks he could help him with. And I think Trent does enjoy having someone almost re-energized by his ability to, or maybe his belief that this guy is a right back, right? Maybe Trent wants to actually be a right back all along, and he just needed someone to believe in him to help him out there instead of just listening to everyone. Like, oh, you should just go to the midfield anyway. You can't defend.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure he's sick of hearing it. I know, like he even talks about, he's not gonna outlive that, right? Like every defender gets dribbled past at one point, maybe unless like prime Verge or something like that. And he's not going against wingers as much, right? So I understand, like, yeah, really, such as Gordo says, I honestly kind of like that because I don't know, I like whenever we have somebody new join us, right, here or American Scouser or whatever, I like mention it to somebody and I'll ask him like, hey, what do you think? Take a look at the website, take a look at the channel, let me know what you think, like good or bad. Most people just usually give you what you want to hear. And like I literally go out of my way. Like I don't want to hear like really. I mostly don't want to hear the good stuff. I want to hear the bad stuff because I want to know. I mean, we got a lot of things going on for us. We got a Prince on air and shit. Like there's so much to build on. But I want to know what else we can do better, what we can add and stuff like that. I don't. Somebody coming in and saying, "Oh yeah, you really enjoyed it. The site looks great." That doesn't do any good because we're not going anywhere with that. So I kind of like the fact that he's like. He's not in denial. It's almost like he knows too that defensively he's not as good. I think he admitted that, and he mentioned that it was probably overblown, which I do agree. He's not that horrible. But I think in the past, that wasn't his focus. Whereas now, like, I don't know if you got the same vibe, but it feels like he is focused on it more. Maybe because, like you said, Slot is focused on it more.
Well, and he's not required to go up as much as before too. So his head can be in a more defensive state of mind rather than constantly attacking. Because when you're on the pitch and you're told to constantly go forward and attack, defending isn't going to be the thing that's most forward in your mind. Right now, it seems like yes, he's still going up, but there's a much bigger focus on the defense. So in his mind, there was more defensive duty, because that's what's at the forefront of his mind, not so much the attacking as it was before. Not that he doesn't love to go up and get a chance when he does, but yeah, I think the system allows him to concentrate more defensively than before.
Yeah, I mean, and they are protected better. They are protected better by midfield. They're protected better by how we attack. Like you're not abandoning your position altogether, even though he is still pushing up. By the way, I didn't realize that it happened in real time as well. I thought it was just at the FanFest, like a connection issue. When he is gone with that ball, the screen went black.
Yeah.
And you never seen so many people, like, at home, you're like, what the? And you haven't seen like 6,000 people were like, what the fuck? And then, next thing you knew, like, it was basically Diaz kicking it into an empty net kind of a deal. But yeah, I mean, when he's coming with that ball, I mean, I thought he makes a lot better decisions with that. We know his passing. And that's always going to be there. I really like the fact that, he does realize, to me, I always got this impression from him in the past that, hey, can you pass like me? Can you cross like me? I don't think so. I don't defend, kind of like he probably like a misconception on my part, but that's the attitude or like the body language I got from him. This kind of shows more, or maybe just saying the right things, that he actually cares about improving that aspect of the game. But good 3 points. Let's talk about, did you watch the game yesterday?
I caught the first half.
Oh, that's right.
Just about. I didn't think I caught the first 35 minutes. Then I had to go to a pickleball birthday party, which was pretty fun because I smoked everyone. Michelle gets annoyed about how competitive I am, but if there's anything that, if I have a chance of winning something, I'm gonna fucking win it. That's. I don't care who I'm playing against. I don't care who I'm playing against my in-laws. I'm not taking it easy on them. I'm playing against the birthday girl. Fuck her. Like, this is my pickleball court, So, but then, I missed the pretty much the 36th minute on. But then when I got home later, after basketball and stuff, I was able to rewatch some of it. And man, that was a hell of an ending to that game.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to get like a watch along going, and man, it would have been some game to watch along to, because I thought there were so many talking points of like decisions, personalities that you love to hate, kind of a thing. And there was like so much in that game. But in some ways, we as Liverpool fans probably could not ask for more injuries, red cards, aggression, bitterness, kind of like disappointment, I think, for Arsenal. I don't know if that's something that will help them bounce back, or that will be something that they're like, God damn it, kind of a thing, going back to, because we were talking about this with the panel with Alan and stuff, that, like last year, they had a chance to go out there and beat City. They played for a draw, and it came to bite them in the ass, because if they had won that game, they would have won the league and stuff like that. But great pickleball butlers. Yeah, pickleball I have not tried, but I know what you mean about combat. I had never played, because I'm freaking Turkish. what is that? Cornhole, which is
Oh
also
yeah,
known as a bag. I
bags.
had never played that, right? So we had like a block party in the subdivision over here, and they have it set up in the middle. And I hate, like, if I'm doing something and I'm not good at it, like, it will bug the hell out of me. Like, it's not like you can be good at everything, but you gotta be at least, like, not brutal. So, like, like, play the game, blah blah. So, like, everybody went to get drinks, and I got a drink, but I'm like practicing because it's all about like getting that angle, right? Like, that's all it is. I'm getting the feel of it, and I'm like, I can get this thing down. I can get this thing down. And then I remember, like, Angie's walking by looking at me. She's like just shaking her head because I'm like practicing over there. I'm like, dude, like, if you're playing something, you gotta beat the other person's ass. How old is the birthday girl that you said fuck her, by the way? I'm hoping she's not like 4 or something.
It was her 18th birthday party.
Oh, okay.
So she's an adult now. So if she needs to lose, she needs to learn how to lose. It's
life lessons. Give it on the pickleball court, my friend. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Farklı Narsa must be really douchey when even silver bets. What do you make of that, by the way? How has Arsenal become this? I swear, yesterday I almost found myself. Well, first of all, I was rooting for a draw, but even during the game, I found myself ended up like almost like, if anybody wins this, I hope City wins this, because this Arsenal team is unbelievable. First of all, whiny face Jesus only got even more annoying with the new hairdo. Havertz is just an asshole. Like, started being an asshole 15 seconds into the game, like trying to set a tone or something, like he's a goddamn linebacker. Arteta with his fucking Lego head. The overall, like, Ben White with his fucking portable tanning salon everywhere he goes. What has happened that this team has become? Are they basically taking the character? How they talk about the squad taking the character and the personality of your manager because they got Lego head. Is that why everybody's becoming an asshole, or?
I don't know. Maybe they were assholes all along. It's also easier to dislike clubs and players if they're playing well and beating you. Let's be honest. Like, they've played well against us the last couple. I mean, for the most part.
But okay, let me answer this. You look at the City team. You look at the Arsenal team. We should despise everybody on that City team based on what you're saying, right? I can pick 1 or 2 guys that I can really wish ill on the City team. I feel like that list is a lot longer on the Arsenal team.
Yeah, I think maybe it's part of the personality of the team itself. Because while Guardiola is a theatrical kind of manager, it seems like he is much more level-headed throughout the course of the week, whereas Arteta feels like he is very much like in a movie all week and trying to be as dramatic as possible with the team. And looks like I'm being shoved into space right now.
I was gonna say the sun is definitely moving in closer. Total eclipse of the studio. Okay.
Yeah, but what I will say though, at any rate, with what we saw yesterday, especially at the end, it's nice to see a little bit of bite though between teams, and not like a fake, and not faking being nice after the game. They actually.
It felt like a rivalry, right?
Yeah, and it felt like this is the return fixture. Like, this is going to be spicy. It's going to be good.
Yes.
I do think it's. I know a lot of people are talking about Bernardo Silva and his comments and whatnot. I mean, my counter to that is, what does Bernardo Silva expect Arsenal to do in the second half when they're down a man? Like, you really expect them to play like Ange's Spurs with 9 men and play at the halfway line? Like, they're going to have to adapt in some way. I know there is a bit more history with Arsenal not being as attack-minded against City to try and get some sort of result. But what do you expect them to do yesterday?
I think that went more with – because I agree, right? I mean, what are they going to do? They were down to 10. It looked a really hapless 10, to be honest with you, though. I mean, it looks like, Forest plays better with 10 people than like they did in terms of like trying to come out or hold the ball, and maybe because of like the way the squad is structured. But Jesus, there has to be one guy who can hold the ball and get a foul or something so we can get the hell out of the box, kind of a thing. But I felt like his comments were more based on a continuation of last year's game that I was referring to, where they went over there not to lose. And obviously that makes life harder, like how we were talking about Bournemouth versus Forest with us. If somebody actually is trying to play, it makes our life easier, and it would have made City's life easier. But I agree with you. Yeah, they're not going to come out. I just was like, if we were City fans, that was a really frustrating second half to watch because that ball moved so freaking slow, especially for that City team. But I was so happy that they got the goal at the end because that made for a perfect
no,
Sunday.
no De Bruyne, no Rodri, and I know we talk about players getting injuries, but we never really want someone like Rodri to tear his ACL and be out for the whole year. I don't know the extent. I know that. Well, I guess I don't. Never mind.
Speak for yourself.
I think.
I don't. Yeah.
In the spirit of the game, if you want to be the best, you also want to beat the best. And as corny as that may sound, it's a lot. It feels better to win without an asterisk next to your name.
Silva, ACL torn.
Just maybe like a slight spray.
Bruno Fernandes, ACL torn up.
Slight spray. I will say there's also because you talked about the goal. I loved right after the game how Haaland was telling Arteta to stay humble. Meanwhile, after the goal went in, Haaland literally grabbed the ball and threw it at the back of Gabriel's head. And Haaland is the one coming up after the game saying, stay humble, stay humble. It's like, dude, you fucking child, just petulant, took the ball out of the goal, threw it at someone's head as you're running back. And the fact that didn't get looked at, or I mean, it did get looked at. The VAR said there was nothing in there. And then now they're going out saying there's no retroactive any penalty for it. That seems like something that there should be some sort of penalty for, whether it's a small fine, whether it's, I don't know, something.
So if he went afterwards and slapped him, there will be nothing.
What kind of precedent are you sending where you can, it wasn't like a light here's the ball. It was a full on
it was like dodgeball.
Yeah. And I mean, kudos to Gabriel for not going down, I guess. I don't know if he knew what hit him. Maybe he thought it was like one of his players, one of his teammates.
I don't think he even saw it coming, or it was one of those that, disappointment, he couldn't even feel anything kind of a deal. But if he knows, you would think like he goes down, if nothing else, probably gets on the red card or something.
Yeah. Right? I think it's insane that there's nothing that's going to be spoken about from a actual punishable thing from that when you have things like Declan Rice being sent off on a red for just tapping the ball away, which in the context of the rules of the game is a yellow card, right? And I understand that in a second yellow all day long, but when you compare that to what Haaland did at the end of the game, it just, and then he had a go at like the 17-year-old that went in late at the game. I don't know. It's just, it seems like a weird double standard that shouldn't exist.
Well, did you see when the red happened? I mean, if you see Arteta's reaction, it's almost like a guy who knows, because he's been on the other side. This is how it is. Well, welcome to our world, asshole, because this is how it is. And you were on the other side. You know exactly how it is that City gets the calls. I still stay behind. Rice deserved that red. The Trossard one yesterday was just like an odd one, to be honest with you, because I thought it was for the foul, and I would have felt better that if it was for the foul than kicking the ball away.
Right.
But when you watch the replay, you can't really tell when the whistle is, so you can't kind of tell what the reaction is. But I don't know. Part of me also says, like, when you have a yellow, man, I know, like, whenever you played with a yellow, it was literally like the FIFA thing where like it's on top of your head. Like you knew that and you played accordingly. It feels like that's something Trossard does because he thinks there's no way anybody would have the balls to show a yellow over there to a red. Otherwise, you would not. You would not slide tackle somebody knowing you would get another yellow. So why do that is what I
like the Morgan Gibbs white tackle from yesterday. It's just. And I think it comes from the manager setting the precedent of like, hey, look, especially after what happened with Rice, like, look, guys, if you're on a yellow, don't do anything that puts the decision into the ref's hands, right? I understand that every decision is in the ref's hands technically, but don't do something silly like that.
Yeah, don't open the door.
Yeah, the challenge on Silva was unnecessary. That he didn't have to do that. And then kicking the ball away was also two things that were unnecessary that you then allowed to have the decision go against you. It just, it comes from the manager. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's kind of hard to argue against. There were a lot of things. I mean, Oliver was all over the fucking place in that game. But honestly, Arsenal deserves everything that comes their way when you start the game like that. That should have been a cards from the get-go, because that is intentional. That is not just the bodies coming together and stuff like that. So when you start the game like that, fucking 10 seconds in, you deserve everything coming your way. You asked for it. Well, there you go. You got it, kind of a thing. And like I say, they have just too many assholes on that team. God, it's an annoying squad. And like I say, like, you know, I feel like we hate City mainly because of the charges, right? But it's almost like, and we also hate them because they're like too good when they play, like when they play their game and stuff like that. But aside from a couple of people, not that they got rid of Jesus, like there's like Bernardo Silva and stuff like that. Other guys, like I find it hard to hate on, like wish injury on. We're talking about Rodri only because he's a key guy. I'd rather have like Kevin De Bruyne injured because he's becoming somehow more and more annoying as the years go by. Like he used to be this more humble dude that was so goddamn good that you couldn't deny it. Now he's like this petulant dude that's going around, kind of like the personality has changed. But I feel like, that Arsenal team has. And I mean, I guess it goes back to Arteta when you have Lego head. Like even Pep, I don't despise Pep, but I definitely despise Lego head. So speaking of heads and Legos, what are we doing on this Monday? Grooming schedule for your head?
There was grooming last week. This week, let's see. Today, what is it? No grooming, but we have a meeting with our realtor to get the ball rolling.
Oh, that's right. How was the packing going?
It's fine. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm not breaking. You know the meme with the fire all around you, and you're sitting there going, "I'm fine. Everything's fine." That's sort of how I feel right now. But they say that goes away. I'll let you know when it does.
Yeah, so that's the word. That's the word on the street. It will go away once you move in, and you'll be like, it was all worth it, kind of a thing and stuff. So you guys don't have a location or anything yet? Or we are finalizing?
We haven't chosen, like we haven't found a home or anything.
Okay.
This is the first legitimate meeting with our realtor to go over what our plans are, what our hopes are, and setting up a way to sell this house while trying to find
I got you. Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, we're kind of like late in the game. I can tell you all kinds of great stories about when we found this house. But we went through a lot of homes looking around with a little jazz in the background too. But like good times. So have fun. It's only gonna get better, and you'll be amazed how people try to sell their houses, and you're like, dude, like I can't even walk in here. How the hell am I gonna buy this place? It's gonna be amazing. You just wait.
I'm astounded by some of because Redfin and Zillow, they'll send me emails like, oh, since you were looking at houses in this area, here's look at this, and I'll pop on there and I'll go, I'm sorry, are they selling this house, or are they burning it down? Like, what is going on? The nice thing for me specifically is that I've sort of given Michelle the reins of the buying of the new, because I went through the experience myself with this house, and I already did that all, and I was able to go. It was really fortunate.
Words, you don't want to deal with it. One, you don't want to hear about it. Two, look, I know what you're trying to do over here, but
let me make it sound nice. So I'm giving her the keys to the new house, if you will, so that she's as much part of the process as she wants to be, and I will be cheerleading from the back, and pretty much getting this house in order.
It's always like, it's kind of like fun. And then the Kazi walks.
You're late.
You are late, my friend. But hey, there'll be definitely a lot more of me tonight at the podcast. 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern with Bickler and Galley. We won't talk about moving as much, but we might touch on the FanFest, and then because I know Galley has been to one, and I got actually some, like insider info before I went to it, like talking to him and stuff like that. But obviously, we'll talk about the Bournemouth game and look ahead to the big matchup coming up against West Ham over here during the week. So we'll talk about that, rotation, and all that kind of good stuff. Have a great Monday. Have an awesome week, everybody. And I'll see you guys tonight. Take care.